Hey Bruins, this is one of your co-hosts, Kyle. Thanks for being here, and welcome to the first episode of the BruinCast. It dawned on me that a lot of you might not know who she is. As you'll hear about later, Miss Kessler was an English teacher at Pondo for about 2 decades. Miss Kessler left Pondo at the end of the last school year to pursue other opportunities that had come her way. Despite the fact that we are just now publishing this episode, we recorded it at the end of the last school year, along with 3 others starring Miss Robinson, Miss Hodson, and Mr. Loudon that you'll get to hear soon. With that being said, you've heard enough from me. Let's get into the interview with our inspired guest, Miss Kessler. Hey Bruins, welcome back to the BruinCast. I'm your host, Kyle Reagan.
And I'm Braden Himley.
And we have our first guest today, a very special guest, the amazing Miss Kessler. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, just in case people don't know who you are?
Good. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me today. I'm honored to do this. One of the great things about working at Ponderosa is having a chance to work with so many amazing people. And I am fortunate to have had you in class, Kyle, and got a chance to know you. I have been teaching here for 20 years, believe it or not. Time goes by quickly. I began teaching at Sac State and Folsom Lake College. I worked part-time as adjunct faculty at both those colleges, and then decided I wanted to have full-time work. I met a previous principal, Dave Sargent, at a Kiwanis meeting, and he said, "Oh, you got to go to high school. You're going to love the students." And I thought, oh, I don't know, maybe high school students, maybe I can't do this. Maybe I'm not the right person. And I quickly fell in love with his job. And it's been just the best job I've ever had, and I've loved it. I've loved the students because, unlike the college, working here, I have hope every day of a better world. I get to see students grow and change, and I get to hear their dreams and know where they want to go and see how they want to change the world. So I'm really fortunate.
So hearing you talk, you obviously have a lot of passion for this. Where did you first find that passion for teaching? How did you come into this world?
Well, I actually found it accidentally.
Oh.
You might think that I wanted to be a teacher my whole life, but actually what I wanted to do was to have a job where I could help people. So in college at UC Davis, I was actually into a biochem major. What I wanted to do was to get into working with medicines, drugs, to help cure cancer. I had someone that I loved really dearly who died of cancer young in my life, and I wanted to be a part of the process to help with cancer. But not long after I was at UC Davis working in a lab, I felt that a lot of the work that was being done was being corrupted by large medical companies that were taking good ideas, hanging on to them and patenting them and not following through on them. And some of these ideas had possibilities. And I felt like because of greed of the commercial medical field, that they weren't being pursued the way that they should. So I was disheartened. So I ended up thinking, well, what else can I do to help people? And I love writing and I love literature. And I thought, you know what? I think I want to become a teacher. So that's how I found my way. And it was the best choice. Sometimes when something doesn't work out that you think is going to work out, you think it's the end of the world, or how am I going to pick myself up again and move somewhere else? And I found my way to teaching, and I've loved it.
So you've been here for 20 years, you said, right?
Yes.
Do you remember, what are all the different classes you've taught here?
Oh my gosh, this is going to be a challenge. I have taught everything the English department has to offer, from reading all the way through AP literature, except science fiction. That's the only class I haven't taught here. That's the easiest way to say everything. So I've taught freshmen to seniors in every single class, reading all the way through.
As far as the content, I'm just curious, what's your favorite class to teach, the material, and that?
Well, for material-wise, I love AP literature. I love the books. I love classic literature. I love classic literature because classic literature confronts us with problems in the world that aren't yet solved. So, poverty, classism, sexism, greed, all sorts of problems that we're still facing. And these books make us think about them. So I get to hear students' ideas on how they think these things might be resolved. So it makes me think. I love teaching sophomores because I love teaching writing. And I think that through writing, we find our own ideas. So I love giving sophomores a strong background in writing and build on that when they get to AP Literature. So,
Love
yeah.
I know you talked about why you moved to teaching high school, and I keep hearing greed. Did you find that you were so much more connected to the students here at Ponderosa than in college? Because in college you might have seen some of that greed coming up, and here you get a wide variety.
Well, one of the things about college that's different than here is that you only see students for a few weeks, for a short period of time. And you don't really have a chance to know who they are and know what they're there for. A lot of times when you run into students at college, they're there just to get a job. And maybe that's where you're hearing the greed tie in. It's just about money. It's just about, I can hurry up and graduate and I can get a job and I can make X number of dollars. Here at the school, students, although there is that component of I want to go to college to get a good job, there is more of an openness to other ideas and purposes for education. And I think that really, instead of going to college to find a good job and make lots of money, I mean, and we all need money to survive, I'm not ignoring that. I think we need to start asking ourselves, what can I do that I love, that I'm going to contribute? And I wish I heard that more from college students. From high school students, I hear both, but I love the second question, because whatever you do for a living, you're going to spend most of your life doing it. So you should love what you're doing, because that's where you're going to spend the majority of your days. And it isn't always about money. It's really about how you want to live.
So having been a former student of yours, when you teach, I can definitely feel the love you have for the career, for your students, for the material, for the class. But outside of teaching, what other things do you love?
Outside of teaching, I do a lot of different things. So I do stained glass professionally. So I've done some pretty cool projects. So if you're in Placerville and you go up Coloma Street and you look to the right where Church of Our Savior is, there's a large stained glass window about 6.5 feet by 5.5 feet. And it's a stained glass window of the angel Raphael, the Annunciation angel that told Mary that she was going to give birth to Christ. That I did for that window, I did for that church, that window, for a friend of ours, in memory of him. I used to do commercial stained glass in the stain area, in the Bay Area when I lived down there. And I do something unique that a lot of stained glass artists don't do. So I began doing stained glass work by doing repairs in cathedrals. So I do reverse back black painting. So you paint onto the glass in a reversed way, and then you bake it in a kiln, and then you put it in lead and you put it back into the window, but it has to be painted in reverse. So it's pretty cool. I don't do very much of that. In fact, I haven't done any reverse black back painting for probably 12 years. But I still know how to do it, and I still have the kiln. I have a stained glass studio in my house, and I just finished redoing our front doors. So I don't do as much as I used to, but I still do it.
Because I don't think I could do that forwards, let alone backwards.
That sounds really difficult.
It is really difficult, but I learned from someone who was amazing, and I think that's the trick with a lot of things, is that I'm not bright on my own doing it, but I had a really good teacher that helped me to do it. So I do stained glass work. I play tennis. I love tennis. My husband's a tennis player too, so it's something that we've loved since we first met. I'm learning how to golf, and I'm atrocious at it, but I'm trying to be very patient and deal with golf. I garden. I'm pretty much a vegetarian, although I eat salmon and once in a while I eat chicken. But I grow a lot of the vegetables that we have on our property. I have a big rose garden. I have 98 shrub roses. So I have a lot of roses, a lot of pruning this time of year. Yeah, and I live in Pollock Pines, so my rose bushes are not beautiful like the bushes down here. I have small rose bushes because they have to survive the snow and they have to survive a very short growing season in Pollock Pines. Down here, you guys have got like monster rose bushes that are gorgeous. I'm always envious. But I still love my little rose bushes, and I'm glad to have them. Other than that, I spend time with my kids. I have 4 kids, and I have 3 grandkids. So I'm
I
lucky.
know Kyle knows about tennis too. Kyle plays tennis. I feel outnumbered here. I just run.
This guy's a track and field guy. He's using the outcast. This is like,
It's okay. We'll take you on the court and we'll show you how to play.
yeah, we can get you.
We'll get you going.
Hey, I kept thinking, join the tennis team, you know? And
Exactly. You know, it'll really help the running.
yeah,
It really will. It'll really help you with that.
You should play each other in a match.
I would lose. It would be fine, but
I doubt it.
That should be an exclusive episode. Could we get that to
if we get to
happen?
100 episodes, me and this guy.
That'll be the comedy.
So further, or in addition to that, I've talked to you before. So you also play the piano, I know.
I do.
So how did you get into
do.
that?
Outnumbered
I
again.
do. I do. I started playing the piano when I was young. I think I've been playing the piano since I was 11 years old.
Oh,
I know,
that.
since I was 11, I know. And when you were in class, I was playing a Rachmaninoff piece it took me 6 months to learn.
His hands are so freaking
6
big. It's not fair.
months to learn. I know. So not often do I put that much time into a piece. But I did that. And probably that was your sophomore year. So now I am revisiting Bach. I'm playing pieces that I played earlier and going through. But I like to take a particular, I don't know, I like to look at music and say, what has Rachmaninoff done? And play 4 or 5 pieces. And it takes me a very long time to learn them. To take Chopin, which I'm sure you're better at because you've got bigger hands than I've got. And he had gigantic hands, and my hands can't quite spread like his do. But I like to take and just study one musician, just look at one pianist and look at his work and play it for a while, and then I'll play something else. But I love to play classical music. I also play more modern music, and I even play a little Elton John once in a while or something else. But playing the piano is kind of my peaceful place to be. Everybody has to have a place that quiets their brain. And for me, it's a place I can go and it quiets my brain, and I love that.
Do you have a single song that you can always come back to as the one song that brings you comfort when you play it?
You know, I can't say that I do. I go through moods where I love certain music for certain reason. There's a couple of Greg pieces I love, but not always, yeah.
I played the violin in middle school.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
I moved up here and I went to like the music store to look at renting one, and they basically looked at me and said like, "What's a violin?" Like when I went to Pleasant Grove Middle School, they didn't have like an orchestra or anything like my other middle school, which is it's kind of sad, but I can still remember like all of the notes and stuff.
You see,
And it's
You can always go back.
Yeah.
You can always go back and at any time pick it up. That's the beautiful thing about music, is that maybe you don't play for a while, or maybe you've wanted to play and something got in the way. Because there's certainly been times in my life where I had more work, more family responsibilities, and I didn't play the piano nearly as much. Now that my children are grown, I have more time. But there were, a decade where I played maybe once a week, and just briefly, because I just had so many responsibilities between work and kids and house that there really wasn't time for me to do that. So different seasons of your life, you have more time. And if you love it, you'll come back to it and you'll find it.
Did you ever think about teaching music? Like, where you going?
I have thought about it, but I think that I play music for a different reason. I play music for me, and it's kind of my place for me. And I don't know that I would want to teach it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
because
guess
then
that
it
makes
would make it something different. Yeah.
I think if our 100 episode special is you and me playing tennis, our 200 episode special is the three of us doing not a duet. What would we call it?
Trio?
A trio of piano, and violin.
That would be beautiful.
Or just do it both in the 100, because we'll probably be almost gone.
Well, that's true. We gotta come back.
You have to come back. Yeah.
So, before this is kind of all more current. You, how about like you when you were growing up? Like, what's your story? I know. Well, actually, you tell it. But what's your growing up story?
Well, my growing up story, I spent time with my grandparents, my mom and dad. I was not a planned child. I wasn't a planned kid. So when I was born, my parents weren't ready to be parents. They were too young, and so my grandparents took me. And the funny thing about my childhood that I always smile a little bit about is that my grandmother believed, she had all boys, and so she believed that my birth was a blessing from God because she'd been praying for a girl. So it was a miracle that she had this little girl that she was going to raise. My grandfather was absolutely furious because he decided that my conception and birth was because of my father's irresponsibility. So they had two totally different outlooks about it. And they were such different people, but I love them. So I was fortunate to live with my grandparents in Ireland for the first few years of my life and some of my uncles. So I was really fortunate. And then I came back here when I was about in kindergarten when my mom remarried. So it sounds pretty strange from the outside looking in. But honestly, I can't think of a better childhood because I was completely smothered in love and care and attention by two grandparents who didn't have to work, who loved literature and loved music. My grandfather used to read at the dining room table out loud at night to my grandmother while she chopped vegetables and cooked food. And I still look back and remember that and remember how much they loved each other. And then after dinner, she would sit at the table and she would read out loud to him while he washed the dishes. I just think they had an amazing relationship. And they loved music and they loved language. They both spoke multiple languages. So I was really lucky. I can't think of a better childhood.
Do you think that's why you like English so much, is because a big chunk of your childhood like had that?
I think I love literature because of them. I do. I think that it makes a difference for every child that sits on their parents' lap and has read stories too, or cuddles
Especially
on the
classic
couch.
for you because it was like your grandparents, right? So
Yeah, it was.
probably classic then. And
It was.
No.
It was, and they sent me books my whole life. I mean, I always was getting books in the mail from them, and they were always encouraging me to read them and then talk to me about them. So yeah, I'm sure it is.
This is probably an impossible question. What are your favorite books you've ever read?
Oh my gosh, that is an impossible question because that changes all of the time. All of the time it changes. But there are some books that I've read, more frequently. I know it's kind of a cliche, but I love Pride and Prejudice, and I love reading it again. I love the language. But I love some children's stories too. It might surprise you. So I love The Velveteen Rabbit. And I love reading that to my grandkids when they come to the house. It seems kind of funny, but yeah, Velveteen Rabbit. But I love all kinds of books. I love poetry. So I read, I have a couple of anthologies of poetry, and I love reading poetry. But poetry to me is like music. I can see the cadence and the lyrics from the poetry, and I love it.
So I've got the luxury of knowing you before this interview, so I kind of know more about you. One of your other ventures, I don't know if you're still doing or not, but you've been working with Folsom Prison to help teach inmates English, and I was wondering if you could talk about that.
I did for a short period of time. I'm not doing that any longer. There's a program through Folsom Lake College that they are helping people who are recently out of prison or ready to be out of prison try to get a degree, some kind of an AA degree or something through Folsom Lake College. I can't think of the name of the program. I should have looked it up. But I can't think of it right now, but you can easily Google it. Anyway, I worked with them as a volunteer to help people who might be 20, 30 years old and still don't know how to read or really how to write. And it was very rewarding. They have a cool picture on the Folsom Lake College website. There's about 12 students who have graduated from that program and are now literate and are pursuing their AA, or they have accomplished it. So it's pretty cool. And it's really rewarding to help people and very different.
So you've been here for 20 years. That's
Yes.
a long time to do a lot of important, really amazing things. Do you see retirement coming soon, or maybe like an end to teaching at all? Or
Well, it's funny that you asked me that because tomorrow I'm meeting with Andrew Williamson at Folsom Lake College. And I'm going to be talking to him about picking up potentially a part-time position at Folsom Lake. I want to have more free time. I love my time here at Ponderosa, but I want to have another story, another life, I guess you could say. I don't want to just retire and fade off into the sunset. But I still want to teach and I still want to be with people. Working part-time for the high school is a little bit more challenging because we have different roles here. But for the community college, I could work part-time for them really easily. And that might fit into my schedule better. It would give me more time to spend with my mom, who has Alzheimer's. And it would give me more time to, actually play the piano more. Maybe do some yoga. Maybe learn how to play pickleball. But I'm thinking about doing that. I don't know that that's my path yet, but I am thinking about retirement. And my husband and I are talking about, what our next journey is going to be. And our biggest, it's almost, I guess I'd like to say it's a plan, but it's in such an infant stage, it's more like a fantasy right now. So the fantasy is that within the next 2 years, we're going to spend half of the year in South America, maybe Argentina or Peru. I want to hike all of Patagonia before I become too old to hike it. And I'd like to teach English as a second language in a country where I can learn the language. I have embarrassing grasp of Spanish, and I feel like I could learn it more quickly if I actually taught English to children, for example, in a country where the first language was Spanish. And then I could learn Spanish from children, and I could help children with English. So it would be a great trade. And children that are in language classes don't spend all day in language classes. So I could volunteer at a school or work for a school and work maybe mornings, and then work with the kids with their English. They could help me with my Spanish. And then, I would have the rest of the day to hike or travel or have a chance to really have the flavor of a country. So I really want to do that. Our other fantasy, my husband's big fantasy. So for me, it's Patagonia. My husband really wants to do this really long boat ride up the Amazon. So we'll see if those things. But they're the basic tiny baby step planning stages. So they're a ways off. But for the near future, part-time work might be happening for me.
Well, I know we keep coming back to 20 years, so that's like 2005. So,
It is.
how
Exactly.
have you seen the students develop? I know the cell phones are a huge thing, but has there been like a specific year where, like, just when you're like, I really loved 2013 or something?
Well, I have loved every year for a different reason. Different year, I have different students, and I fall in love with those students all over again. I will say that it is interesting looking back at 2005 because with those students, they were my first students here at Ponderosa, and I have kept in touch with some of them who have gone on to colleges and done amazing things. So for example, freshman year, I had Brogan Miller in my first Advanced English 1 class. He graduated from Ponderosa and he got a full ride scholarship to Stanford in water polo. And he actually was an alternate for the U.S. Olympic team. And now he's a businessman and he deals with businesses primarily in China. But when I met him, he was, 14, 15 years old. And, now he's 20 years older than that. So you can do the math. But he has a family and a business and he's done extraordinarily well. I had another student, Chelsea Smogey, who worked for, she actually is a vice president for Nordstrom's. She got into marketing. She went to UC Davis, got into marketing, and so she's a VP at Nordstrom. So it's fun to hear some of these students and their stories. Matt Ray was about 3 years after that, and he is attorney in Sacramento, and so is Dylan Musgrove. So as a teacher, I've stayed here, but I've kept in touch with students that are just doing amazing things, right? Really amazing things. I have anyway, I could go on about the students that are doctors, lawyers, and amazing parents. I have to tell you, I run into students every once in a while. I was at Chick-fil-A of all things with my grandson, and I had a student, an ex-student, a woman come up to me and say, "Are you Mrs. Kessler?" And I'm like, yes. And she's like, "Oh, I was your TA in 2007. And I was like, "Wow." And she goes, "And these are my boys, and they're at Folsom High School." And I'm like, that's amazing. Anyway, they were her sons, or her husband's children, so they were a little bit older, but her sons. And I was just like, oh my gosh, time has gone by so fast, right? So I'm always surprised, and I'm always proud of people who are really good parents. Maybe even more proud than attorneys or business people, because I think that's the most important job, is being a good parent.
So I think Burton brought up an interesting point of cell phones, of like kind of things that have impacted students. If in society, what are some of the things that you wish you could change to help students do better? Like kind of the things that students can't really control themselves, but their issues.
Right. Well, I think right now, I think social media is very negative. Today in class in AP Literature, we talked about a poem called Barbie Doll by Marge Percy. And the students spent more than half of the period talking about body issues and about how troubling that is right now for your generation, and talked about not wanting to, believe it or not, as seniors attend a senior swim party because half of the class didn't want to be seen in their swimsuit, which is heartbreaking to me, and talked about the pressures of social media and how they have to conform to that. Also talking about the amount of fake news on social media. I think the fake news has always been there, but I think we have to always be diligent to know and find the truth for ourselves. And I think it's harder in the world today because social media has made it more difficult. So I think that's a problem. I don't know that cell phones have been good for us. I do think that there's going to be a time where cell phones will be positive, where social media can be positive. I do. I don't believe that it's all negative. I just believe that in the last 15 years especially, I believe that cell phones and social media are controlling us instead of we controlling them, if that makes any sense. They're controlling us. And I think that we have to get to a point where we control technology. But I think AI is the same. AI technology moves so fast that we don't know how to control it, what kind of reins to put on it so that it works effectively for us. It's like a horse that has all this power and speed, and it can be phenomenal and can be beautiful. But if we don't have the right reins and we don't have the right riding equipment to ride it, we can't control it. And though it's beautiful and it's gorgeous and all this power, but it's out of control. And I feel that's the way technology is for us in social media right now. And because of that, I think sometimes it causes more damage and more harm than it does good for us. But if we could only control that horse and put it behind a cart and have it pull for us and do the work, it'd be great.
Well, anything else that you have?
I don't think so. I don't want to get too far into that because
Yeah.
I think
I agree.
the only other thing I'd want to add is that I think that we need to focus more on teaching people to have their own ideas. Original thought and ideas needs to be a focus. I don't think that it's a good thing for students to only parrot back ideas to us that they've learned. I think they need to have their own ideas and their own thoughts and be really, really valued for that.
Yeah, I think
Because-
that's a good point. Like I was never and am still not like a fan of poetry. Just the whole thing, it just never appealed to me. I just felt like somebody could say, "Oh, the sky is blue," and then it could mean 20 million things, which I can understand why that would be appealing. But in classes, like I think freshman year, we would just go outside, and she'd just say, just like stare at the nature and write something about the nature. And I was just like having the break from the phone, not so much like having a break from the phone, but just really like looking in detail at the nature is really interesting. Like, I think that's something that people are missing out on.
I would agree with you. I would agree. Yeah, I think we need to get closer to where we came from, maybe. I like that. I think we also all need to have an open mind that every discipline can teach us something. I know I run into English teachers all the time that say that, oh, I can't do math or I can't do science. And I think about where I came from, being a math, science-based student at UC Davis. And I think there can be something amazing about every discipline that we can all connect to. I just think we need to be open to what is it from math, what is it from science, what is it from literature, what is it from art that we can learn. When you look back and you think about geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci, think about his model of the Vitruvian Man, the man that studied all aspects of education and became fully developed. Because if we only develop one part of our educational self, we never can really become that entire picture, that man that is everything, that is math, that is science, that is literature. I think that should be our goal. We're on this planet for such a short period of time. Why only study one area?
Is there like one or a few things that you would recommend or give like advice to high school students, because there's just so many paths people can go down, and what's like one goal that you think all of them should be striving towards?
I think that while you're here, you want to try everything on. I know that sounds silly, but try different things. Maybe you want to try tennis.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe you want to try track, okay, and maybe you want to play piano, and maybe you want to try violin, maybe you want to paint, maybe you want to take an art class, maybe you want to take one of the amazing classes they have in the ag department. I see students all the time just glowing with happiness in the floral class. Maybe you want to take the floral class. I think this is a time where you can try lots of different things on and find out what you really like. I think students come in with a mindset and they only take AP classes, or they only take shop classes, or they only take whatever. I don't think this is a time in life where you just have to only focus on one part of yourself. But try lots of things, try different clubs. There's so many different clubs and activities and people that you can meet. Try meeting different people. Do a study abroad.
Well, I think with that, I mean, it's a great note to end on. Great advice. Thank you so much for joining us on episode 1 of this. Like, we really, really loved having you. Really appreciate it. I know we've been trying to plan it for a while, so it means a lot to have you on.
Well, thank you. I feel very honored to be on, and hopefully some of this rambling made sense.
Yeah.
But it's been good being with both of you.
Yeah.
So thank you for that opportunity.
Well, really appreciate it. This is Kyle Reagan and Braden Himley.
Signing off. See you next episode.